rock and roll royalty. And let me tell you, Mick Avory is rock and roll royalty, even going back to the Rolling Stones before he joined the Kinks. And as our guest, Sabine, how are you today, Mick?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Yeah,
that's fantastic. And how are you today, Paul? Joining us from London.
Yeah, perfect. We're only about a mile or 2 miles away from each other.
And me, I'm in Twickenham.
Oh yeah, yeah. Trying.
Straight to the top of the charts. From 10 to 1, you got a show number 1 when you go straight to the top of the charts. Top of the charts, top of the charts. That song's gonna climb to the top. When you go straight to the top of the charts. When you go straight to the top of the charts.
Well, Mick Avory, you've been at the top of the charts so many times, and that's why we're here, to hear your fantastic stories. And can I just ask you before we begin, what was it like starting off with the Rolling Stones? Just tell me what that was like, being with them for a short while.
Actually, with the Rolling Stones, I used to work with a kid in just doing little gigs, and his father used to get the gigs for us, and he was a drummer, and he got a call from Mick Jagger, who was unknown at the time, 1962, and he said, "Oh no," he said, I think we're talking to the wrong person here," and he put me on to him. So I went up to see what it's all about. He said, "Well, it's about a band wants to get a rhythm and blues band together, and it's going to be big, and they do Chuck Berry stuff." And I just about heard of Chuck Berry then. So I went along and I had a little jam with them. And so anyway, doing Chuck Berry stuff. But I was speaking to Ian Stewart most of the time he was the keyboard player at the time. And
that's amazing. Now, just tell me how you fell into the Kinks.
Yeah, okay. I was getting to that. That's 2 years later. Have you got that long?
Yeah, I got plenty of time.
Yeah, Mick, just mention about that ad in Melody Maker as well, because let's go back tracking a bit, Yeah. There was an ad in the Melody Maker, wasn't there?
Okay. Fast forward 2 years. When I come out of the Stones, I wasn't in the Stones, but I had a little encounter with them, and so I thought there's all those bands coming on television, and I was still working. I thought, I wouldn't mind doing that because I like the music then. It all changed with the Beatles and Stones, and so and I've realised who I'd been with, because I didn't know that they were called the Rolling Stones, and by 1964 they were quite well known. So anyway, I put an advert in Melody Maker, and I got a call from a rather posh man. "Hello, I'm the manager of the Kinks," and so he asked me to go to this place in Islington called the Camden Head, and so I met the boys there for the first time, and I thought they looked a bit arty and a bit camp to me, and they thought I was a rocker.
But I've got to say, with that jacket, you're a follower of fashion, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, that came later. See, I got influenced. I'm easily led.
Yeah, well, that's your song at the Boston Arms Tufnell Park, isn't it? At the King's Convention, you normally come on stage in one of your jackets, and you do that number, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Dedicated follower of fashion. To tumultuous applause.
Absolutely.
It annoys everyone because I can't sing properly, and they can, and I'll get
wonderful.
More applause than them.
Yeah, but we expect it every time, Mick, and you get up there and you do the number. It's brilliant.
Yeah, well, we just had the Kinks convention. I'll do it again, but I had a long pause, so I had to relearn it. There's too many words in it. All this song.
Now, Mick, I've got to ask you, right? Because, I mean, everyone wrote books and you're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And you've got to understand, with rock and roll, you expect the unexpected. And you go down in history for having a bit of a riff with the other members of the band, right? And, I mean, that's like people are together and then they sort of have arguments. Then they sort it out. Then they're together. And there's all I'm trying to say, the dynamics of the band. You've done the majority of the Kinks songs. I mean, look at your legacy. How fantastic is that?
Well, we've been up there, down there, and in the ladies' chamber, and then come back up again to fame, and we've had all sorts of things happen to us.
Well, it was 1990, wasn't it? The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and inducted, and then 2005 it was the UK Hall of Fame. So there you go, double whammy, brilliant.
Yeah, well, I'm still waiting for my little trophy. We only got.
I hope they'll give it to you, but I just want to say, Paul, if you got a question you want to ask Mick, go for it.
I've asked Mick so many questions. We've had 36 holes on the golf course and down the driving range, so I've asked Mick all of his questions, all the questions.
So I want to ask Mick though that what for you has been the highlight of the Kinks career? You know, your time with the Kinks. I mean, what's been that absolute, the most special memory for you? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't one. There's
several,
really, but yeah. I mean, obviously, when we went to the top of the charts first, and then losing my day job and actually being on television in 2 days after, that was a big highlight for me, and everyone looking in at home and etc. Then later on, with every record, you hope it's going to be successful. I mean, we got a lot of success with the singles in England because we weren't allowed to go to America for 4 years, and so that held us back in America. But we still battled on in England and Europe, and we had a lot of hits during that period, and then we were allowed back in. It's like being allowed out of prison.
Mick, I just want to say, I interviewed your producer, Shel Tamley, so I say a big hello to Shel because I've interviewed him, and he's fantastic, isn't he? Yeah.
It was it's a strange bloke, really, for because he couldn't see properly, and he used to over-record everything. I think that was his style, and because he used to record the Who, and the Who was, they were quite a loud band for their time, and it suited his style of production, But the softer ones, we said, no, it's all right, Shel, you sit over there, we'll do this one. It's too subtle for you.
The Kinks gave the Beatles a run for their money. I want to know what it was like. Like, you must have had Kink Mania. What was that when all the girls went crazy for you? Tell me what that was like, getting into that scene.
Yeah, it was a big surprise to me because I've come from nowhere, and I'm suddenly with this band that are very popular, and then I never got through a show. You do a few minutes and there'd be a tirade of girls coming up and pulling your hair and pulling you off your drum stool, and then you think, well, there's no point us playing, really. Might as well just go up there and walk about and say hello. So no one could hear you or appreciate what you're doing.
So you've lost a lot of drumsticks
then. But later on, when they did listen, we realised how bad we sounded. Well, sharpen up a bit.
Can I just say, I mean, Waterloo Sunset means a lot to me because I go into Waterloo a lot, and every time I'm on that train, that tune is always in my mind. So, I mean, for me, that is my all-time favorite.
That's
I mean, I have
really, yeah.
absolutely, you know, just gets me there every time. But yeah, I was so many. I mean, obviously, you really got me, and we've got Time Waiting for You, and all these number ones, and then we've got Lola, that was number 2 in 1970. You know, All Day and All the Night, 1966, Sunny Afternoon. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. I mean,
yeah. Well,
brilliant.
I mean, obviously, it was we all used to get drunk and muck about, and there was one sensible one in the band, that was Ray, and he felt a responsibility, I think, when he found out he could be that successful. He thought, well, you know, and it's the right. He got very good at writing songs, and he had it, you know, he established his style and with lots of words, and he, you know, he kept it going.
I love Lola. That's my big number 1 song with You Really Got Me. And I said, there was another guy who drummed, the famous drummer drummed on that one, Graham, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bill Graham.
That song, is that when you came into the band straight after You Really Got Me?
Straight before. I packed my kit to go down there to record it, and there was another bloke there. I thought I was packing away, but he was setting up. I said, "Hello, what's going on here?" Because Shell told me had booked him because they used him before, and yeah, you know, I knew he could just go and do it without any messing about, because I was a new boy, and you know, I was sort of thrown in the deep end a bit with studios, because I hadn't been in one, to be honest.
I got to ask your favourite song, Mick, from your career with the Kinks, but I got to say, Dead End Street. That's one that stays in my mind all the time too.
yeah, that was a good one, because it's you know, Ray started talking about what people understood, you know, because times were, you know, some people were feeling the pinch, and you know, they could relate to that.
Ray's a great observer of life, isn't he? I mean, he really does right. So from the heart, but from his surroundings, he grasps everything. He soaks up about London life, you know, growing up, you know, and he's just so brilliant at putting it into words. And as you say, we can all relate to the lyrics, you know.
That's a good thing, and even if we missed it first time round, we seem to be getting successful with the 50-year-old albums now.
The Village Green Preservation Society.
Oh yes,
It didn't do anything when it first came out, because people couldn't actually switch on to the lyrics, the whole message that Ray was putting across. And it was only recently, wasn't it, Mick, that it actually hit gold record or something? It suddenly made it.
Yeah, it was well, when we brought it out to 50 years, which was 2018. Yeah, we did a big release on that with extras and box sets and all the stuff, and it went whammy. Yeah, it was very good.
Mick, can you see what's in the background? Can you see my corner there?
Bring it closer, Sabine, grab it.
Oh, well, I've set it all up.
To me, not D.
No, well, I've got the.
No, there's.
I've got the vinyl. I've got the vinyl. Obviously, I just wanted to show you because.
Show Mick.
Yeah, Kinks Controversy.
Yeah, that's it. And then I have
that name from.
Lots of pictures.
Where did that name come from, Ma? Did that come from the symbol business?
Yeah, that could have been. Yeah, all the.
Hey, can I ask you, Mick? That symbol, if you wanted to sell it, is that in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Or is that in one of the Hard Rock cafes, the symbol?
Yeah, I never saw the going of that.
I've got a beer mat all signed by you guys. Do you remember doing that, Mick?
Yeah, signed a few of them.
Mick, what's a story you can tell me when you're on tour? What's a fantastic story of a fan getting to the group in the early years? It must have been hard to get to you guys like the Beatles. Can you tell me when you had a fan go crazy or some story where, I don't know, they came to your hotel and were able to get through security, or somebody got on stage? Have you got any of those stories?
Well, it's one time we went on tour in the 70s, when we got back into the stride of touring again in America. And we used to do these theatre jobs a lot then, we weren't in the big places. And we hired this guy to take a film of our tour. And we'd be in the station wagon going to the gig, and he'd be out the back with his camera and spotting things on the way. And if something was interesting, so I'd go around the block again. And there was this guy outside the gig. He was dressed in a top hat and clawhammer jacket and evening dress, but we had flip-flops on. Didn't have shoes, he had flip-flops, and and he was playing the violin and making some gurgling sound and singing weird sort of renditions of songs. And we thought, he's an interesting bloke, go around again. And anyway, it ended up, we got him in the gig, and he's in the dressing room doing all these songs, but only his style. And apparently he went a bit mad because he'd overstudied the violin, and it just sort of, little doggy do. There's all that stuff, but his masterpiece was these two rock operas, and the German one was the most dramatic, and he used to take counterparts with his, do his this woman voice, and the man obviously ends up killing the woman, and he ends up on the floor stabbing himself with the bow, going, and because we're in fits of laughter, they wouldn't be allowed now because
Can you remember Tiny Tim with the ukulele?
Anyway, we put him on stage to warm us up, and throwing cans and all sorts of things. Poor sod. Anyway, we got him on. Oh, do you think they like me? Oh, golly gee, he used to speak like that. Oh, wow, golly gee. That was all that. But
what a character.
He kept us, and the thing is, he was trying to sort of make a name for himself, and he sort of he got very friendly with us, and he came over to England, and we used to take him to places, and he'd always get up and do his show, and everyone would say, "Hey, bloody hell is he mad?" Or something. So, he's a bit mad, but he's very
that's crazy.
Can I just show you this album cover? Look,
only
look
in pictures. Yeah.
Look at the clothes.
Yeah.
I mean, you look very smart, I have to say. Check out that top hat, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's Dave. Yeah, but if hey,
Mick, she goes for the fashion. Do you remember this photo, Mick? Do you remember this photo?
Yeah, I've seen it quite a few times because people send stuff to me and I have to sign it. But that's one of the pictures I get.
That's the other one.
That strange man in the end, Pete Quaife.
You signed that one for me at the Eel Pie Club a few years ago, Mick.
Oh, right, yeah.
But your signature's worn out, so you're going to have to sign it for me again.
Yeah. Okay. Get the new version.
Yeah.
Probably released it.
So Mick, I've seen you down at the Cavern Club in Rains Park playing with the All Stars.
Oh,
and
right.
A few times, and you like to do those gigs, don't you? Live music in these gig pubs.
Yeah, now we're back sort of together again after the pandemic. I started back in August, so but one of the boys died, so it's a little bit different lineup, and one has disappeared. We don't know what he's doing. I don't know whether he's frightened of the COVID or
because I see Robin. I see Robin BB quite a bit out
Oh,
gigging,
yeah.
and you know, we all know each other down at the Eel Pipe Club, but
That's right. So you know the
yeah.
lineup. No? Yeah.
So it's likely that I'll see you down at the Cavern sometime then.
Yeah, I missed one actually because I had something else to do. It was only a couple of weeks back. But
Well, you'll have to come to the Eel Pipe Club. We've got our Christmas shindig
I'll
on.
over. Yeah.
Yeah, please do.
In 1962, what kit were you using when you were playing with the Stones, and what kit were you using in 1964 with the Kinks?
The same kit, but it was a mishmash of different makes actually. That was, but yeah, there's sort of we had cheap makes like Broadway and funny names, but they. I don't know where they come from or where they were made, probably in England. And but that's all I had. That's all I needed at the time because we were only playing Scout Huts. But when it
can I ask you, did you ever
when
get
it
a
got
Ludwig
serious,
kit?
when I was with the Kinks, I thought I'll have to get a new kit. But before that happened, when it did happen, I got a Ludwig kit, and I got it a Silver Sparkle. It was. And, no,
did you cross paths?
I love that kit.
Did you cross paths with Ringo a lot?
Yeah, not a lot, no, because they were kept apart from everyone. They were like royalty, you know. So you know, we met them. I don't know, it was Blackpool. We played with them, and we met them there, and we shook their hands. But it's been written that it was Bournemouth Winter Garden. I don't remember doing a Winter Garden job with them. Anyway, we were Blackpool, I think, and yeah, so we got introduced, and they'll come up and say their little piece, and then we were like warming up before they went on, and Paul McCartney said, "You didn't have to warm them up that much." Remember that? I thought, thanks, Paul. It's nice little comment. That.
Yeah, but you guys were from London and they were from Liverpool.
Sorry?
You guys were from London and they were from Liverpool, so there's a rivalry already, isn't there?
Yeah, but they used to advertise us from Liverpool. Yeah, because everyone had to come from Liverpool then because of the Beatles, you know. And we didn't want to come from Liverpool because we come from London, but you know, people doing the posters and putting them out didn't know any better, and they thought maybe it'd be better if we put Liverpool because we might get more people there or something.
Unbelievable. Now, Mick, I just want to say it's been great having you on the show, right? You're just a fantastic rock and roll royalty, and you know what? The Kinks are bigger now than they've ever been because of the new generations of fans. And wherever you play, people should come and see you.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We're not capable, I don't think, of actually touring anymore. But yeah, between us all.
But it's always great to see the cast off Kinks, though, isn't it, Mick? Because the cast off Kinks, they're carrying on. Of course, we've lost Jim and we've lost Ian. We've still, as I said, I mean, I didn't get to the Kinks convention this time, sadly, but I understand it was still a great night, and Ray does pop in, does a couple of numbers. And,
we did pretty well. We did a lot of gigs in the last 11 years with Ian because we got into the theatres and we had a circuit to do that. It was getting too much actually, but Ian died and it killed him.
Yeah.
Shame though, but we should have wound down a bit, I think. Anyway, that was good. And then the pandemic came not too long afterwards, so we had a big gap. So we decided,
we've all been starved of live music for too long, and that's all starting up again. And there's a lot going on now. I mean, I've been to lots of gigs, in town, and you know, it is back to normal really, and the tours are happening. Well, we'll have to see, but our tours planned for next year, and there's so many artists and bands. They just can't wait to get back on the stage, you know. And we can't wait to see them, you know. Yeah.
It's
and
great.
I just want to say, Mick Avory and Paul ENDACOTT, for coming on the show today. It's been our pleasure having you on the show. Go straight to the top of the charts. Plastic EP and Sabine, we salute you, Mick. All the best.
Well, okay, thanks very much.
Thanks so much for your time, Mick. It's been an absolute pleasure. Great to see you. Thanks,
Nice
Paul.
Love you.
Go straight to the top of the charts. Go straight to the top of the charts. From 10 to 1.